everyone, my name is Leanne and today I am doing a book haul. I have quite a few books to talk to you guys about, so I won't dilly-dally for too long. There's a real mix in here. I have fiction, classics and YA, some literary fiction, some genre fiction. I've got non-fiction and I've got poetry, so there's plenty in the mix for everyone, I think. Some of these books I got from work, some were sent to me by other publishers, and some of them I bought with my own hard-earned cash. Kick things off with the books for younger readers. I have a YA novel called Deep Light by Frances Hardinge. This novel sounds amazing. This is set beneath the sea and it has a lot of dark twists in it. I believe there's a really rich and luxurious writing style. A lot to do with gods and secrets that lurk beneath the surface. As you may be able to tell, this is a proof edition. The final copy comes out on Halloween, so I think this is going to be a fantastic dark read for that time of year. Another book that is particularly autumnal or Halloweeny is Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell with illustrations by Faith Erin Hicks. This is a graphic novel. I have read some of Rainbow Rowell's previous work and I really enjoyed it, but I haven't read a graphic novel in such a long time and I do really enjoy them. So when I found out I could get my hands on a copy of this, I jumped on it. This follows our two teenage protagonists who are best friends, but only during the autumn when they work together at a pumpkin patch. This is the final season they are going to be working together, and they decide that their final shift must be an adventure. I don't think I'm going to be able to resist reading this one over the Halloween period, so I think I'm going to be reading this very soon. Moving on to a couple of classics, I have Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. If you've been around here for any amount of time, you may know that I collect the Penguin English Library editions of classics. I've read a little bit of Dickens before, but not a whole lot. But I often hear Great Expectations cited as a lot of people's favourite of his novels, so that's really intriguing to me. I don't really know much about it beyond it has a main character named Pip, who is an orphan. With a Dickens novel, I'm expecting some really interesting characters, some social commentary, and a lot of humour as well. It's currently Victober, but my Victober TBR is already pretty jam-packed, so this may have to wait till next Victober. This next one is more of a modern, or I guess cult classic, and that is Memoirs of an Ex-Prom Queen by Alex Cates Shulman. This was originally written in the 1970s, and it follows our main character Sasha, who is a young woman who seems to have it all. She is an American sweetheart figure. She's beautiful, she is intelligent, she is dating the captain of the sports team. But when she drops out of college to get married, she realizes that she hasn't got many ambitions left in life now. The only really significant thing she has is fearing the aging process as she approaches her 30th birthday. But Sasha finds herself rebelling and going through an intellectual and sexual awakening, and I think this novel explores a lot of things like sexual inequality, inequality in the workplace, and harassment in the 1950s and 60s. All topics that I really enjoy reading and learning more about. This next one I won't dwell on for too long because you have heard plenty about it already. I picked up The Testaments by Margaret Atwood. I've already read this one, so if you want to hear my full thoughts on it, I will leave my September wrap-up linked down below in the description, but this is the sequel to The Handmaid's Tale, and I don't know why I'm telling you this because everyone already knows that. Next, I have Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawagachi. This is a novel translated from Japanese, and the concept of this novel sounds fascinating to me. This is set in a Japanese cafe where if you sit down, you can travel back in time, but you can only speak to people who have been in that cafe, and you have to finish your conversation before your coffee gets cold. In many ways, it's such a simple idea, but I think there's an opportunity for some really powerful and intimate storytelling, and I'm really looking forward to reading this one. Another book I picked up that just has a brilliant concept is The Last by Hannah Jameson. This is a sort of post-apocalyptic novel. It follows what happens after the world is ending due to a nuclear disaster, and it is set in a Swiss hotel where there are 20 people seeking refuge. And then a body is found, and one person is the murderer. I love a book where the plot centers on people who wouldn't normally interact in day-to-day life being thrown together, and you just see what happens when all of these people are interacting. But throw a murder into the mix and an apocalypse. Brilliant. I think this is going to be a really fast page-turning read. Another book that also features different characters being thrown together is Welcome to Lagos by Chibundu Anuzo. This book follows 5 runaways who are all moving to Lagos in search of a better life. As I said, they aren't necessarily people you would normally put together. They have very different backgrounds, but they are united by a shared burden and their ambition to get to Lagos. I've read quite a bit of Nigerian fiction before, and it's a setting that I've always really enjoyed reading about and learning more about. And also this cover I am just obsessed with. Another stunning cover, I have The Confession by Jessie Burton. You may know Jessie Burton for her historical fiction, The Miniaturist and The Muse, but this novel is a bit more contemporary. We initially follow 2 characters, one named Elise and one named Constance or Connie. Connie is a tremendously successful writer. When a romance blossoms between this pair, Elise and Connie decide to move to LA for Connie's career. Connie absolutely thrives here, but Elise finds herself feeling lost and floundering. When she overhears a conversation at a party, Elise makes a decision that is going to change her life forever. That all happens in the 1980s, but if we skip forward 3 decades, we follow a character named Rose, who is trying to find out more about her birth mother who disappeared when she was a baby. She finds out that the last person to see her mother alive was Connie, so she pays Connie a visit in search of a confession. Sounds amazing. I love a book that has different timelines. I find that a really interesting device to use in a story, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one. And the final fiction book I have is The Foundling by Stacey Halls. This was a proof that I was given by Zafir, and I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone involved with the launch of this book. We went to Brunswick House and it was just an utterly magical event. It was incredible, and Stacey was so nice. It's set in the mid-1700s, and it follows a character named Bess who 6 years after she left her baby at the Foundling Hospital returns to be reunited with the child she has never known. Her life is turned upside down as she tries to find out who has taken her baby and why. I think it would just be the most amazing reading experience to read this book and then go visit the Foundling Museum in London. So I think when I get around to this book, that's definitely what I'm going to do. Now, moving on to some non-fiction, I have Eat, Sweat, Play by Anna Kessel. This is a book that I've already read. In fact, it's one of my favorite non-fiction books of all time. So I really wanted to have a physical copy of it because I know I'm definitely going to reread this book soon. This is a book all about womanhood and sport. It is about how female athletes are treated in the media and on social media. It explores the wage gap between male and female athletes. It explores phenomenon like why teenage girls drop out of sport at a far more rapid rate than teenage boys do. And it explores how things like pregnancy and periods can impact women's relationship with sport. It's a brilliant book, and if you are in any way interested in women's relationships with sport, or you are someone who's thinking about getting back into fitness or getting into fitness for the first time, I would really recommend this book. Next, I have Period Power by Maisie Hill. This book is pretty much what it says on the tin. It is a book all about periods and hormones. It's essentially a no-nonsense guide to understanding your period and how to make it work best for you. I love talking about periods, like, so much. I find them completely fascinating, so I think I'm really going to get a lot from this book. Next, I have A Manual for Heartache by Kathy Rensenbrink. I read Kathy Rensenbrink's other book, The Last Act of Love, which is all about losing her brother, and I thought she was a phenomenal person and phenomenal writer, so I was really keen to read more work from her. And also, I am a person who has experienced her fair share of heartbreak over the years, and I love examining and talking about feelings, so again, I think this is one that I'm going to get a lot out of. Next, I have We Are Never Meeting in Real Life by Samantha Irby. This is a collection of essays that convey powerful emotional truths in a painfully funny way, which is like the perfect way of describing an essay collection to me. I just love hearing women's thoughts on all aspects of their life, and some of the essays in this have titles that I'm really drawn to. So some of the essay titles include My Bachelorette Application, You Don't Have to Be Grateful for Sex, Fuck It Bitch, Stay Fat, 13 Questions to Ask Before Getting Married, and of course the title essay, We Are Never Meeting in Real Life. Not too sure how I feel about there being a cat on the cover, but I feel like I can get past that. And the final non-fiction book I have is The Secret Barrister. By The Secret Barrister, the author wishes to keep their identity anonymous, and when you hear about the topic of this book, it makes sense why. This book explores and exposes the criminal justice system and how it works, how it doesn't work, and the serious flaws within it. I think we are really living in a time where we are questioning authority and systems that we have always taken to just be the way things are. I think this is a really necessary book in that time. And finally, I have a couple of poetry books to talk to you guys about. The first of those is Jericho Brown's The Tradition. Earlier this year, I read this poet's previous collection, The New Testament, and I thought there was so many good things going on in that collection. I believe this one explores some similar themes like fatherhood, blackness, and queerness, but also explores some more existential ideas like freedom and safety. What really impressed me about this poet's previous collection was their ability to talk about broad societal and political issues while still feeling very intimate and individual. I think Jericho Brown is a really important voice in contemporary poetry. And finally, I have The Luckiest Guy Alive by John Cooper Clarke. John Cooper Clarke is probably amongst my favourite poets of all time. He is affectionately deemed the poet laureate of punk. This is his first new collection for several decades. His poetry can be really funny, really focused on sound effect and have a real musical quality to it. It is often quite political and has a socialist slant to it. I think he's one of the most incredible poets, so I'm really excited to read this one. I might go read it now, to be honest with you. That's how excited I am for it. I also think if you are a bit of a reluctant poetry reader, it's worth giving his work a go. So that is it. They are all the books I have to talk to you guys about today. I did try and get through them as quickly as I could. Do leave me a comment down below and let me know if you've read any of these books and let me know what you thought of them. As ever, they will always be linked in the description if you want to find out more about them. And if you haven't read any of these books, let me know if you would like to, or let me know what you're currently reading. I hope you guys are having a brilliant day, and I will talk to you in my next video.